going to go for me to wrap up. We're going to do.
I'll put this one on you. Yeah, just on your phone, just turn it off. That would be better. Now you have to get the
time, so I got to turn it off myself and I stop speaking. You got to just.
No, you turn it off. I'm going to kill the music in a second. Okay, sorry, let me just kill the music.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, excuse me.
Good afternoon and welcome to New York Medical College. My name is Dr. Michael Majak. I'm the chair of the Department of Physical Therapy. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2019 Doctor of Physical Therapy White Coat Ceremony for the D.P.T class of 2021. We will begin the ceremony today with an invocation from Rabbi Baruch Fogel, campus rabbi for the Turl Law Center, member of the Turl Department of College Affairs. Please stand, Rabbi Fogel.
Avinu Shabbat Heavenly Father, bless all those who have assembled here today to take part in the School of Physical Therapy's White Coat Ceremony for the class of 2021. Almighty God, Rofecho Basar Maflila Asos, healer of all flesh and wondrous in your acts, you have instructed and empowered humanity to provide relief, comfort, and aid to all your children. We and all who are involved in the citadel of medical education are your agents in this task. May your abundant blessing always be showered on those who enter the halls of this institution. Give strength, courage, and fortitude to the women and men who now prepare to leave the classroom and engage in direct patient care. Bless them as they set out as your agents to serve those in need, those in pain and discomfort, and all those who seek your healing. Grant them the wisdom and the strength to strengthen the weak and uplift those in despair. As our students begin the actualization of the knowledge they have acquired, we pray that they constantly remember the principles to which they were educated. The pledge which they are about to recite says, I will place the welfare of my patients and clients above my own self-interest. May this leap from self-interest to caring for others, symbolized by changing one's outward appearance and dress, be one that they internalize and stay with them always. At this auspicious event, we also pray to you, dear God, that you shower your blessings upon the students and all their loved ones, parents, spouses, children, and other dear ones who have been there for support and encouragement, financial and emotional, who have helped them reach this milestone. May God bless the administration, faculty, and students of New York Medical College and grant them the wisdom and resolve and fortitude to continue their noble mission of strengthening community via education. Turl College was created to serve, strengthen, and improve your world, dear God, your world with its rich diversity and ever-increasing potential for good. Dear God, we ask for your continued divine guidance so that we together can achieve that great potential. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Fogel. Please take your seats. What a special day. What a special occasion. We are pleased that many family and friends could make the trip to our lovely campus, and that many of you who could not make the trip are watching on live stream. I would like to take a couple of moments of silence to acknowledge those friends and family who may not be with us physically, but still are with us spiritually and nourish our souls. Thank you. So today's White Coat Ceremony symbolizes a transition. Our first year students have been working very hard, as many of you know, hours of study and practice, reflection, and trying to come to grips with the challenges of patient and client care. a doctor of physical therapy. That term can't be taken lightly. The term doctor implies many things to our patients and clients: expectations, wisdom, skill, compassion, comfort, relief. Rather than the ceremony of joyous celebration, such as graduation will be in 3 years, today's event is more one of explicit expression of our students' commitment to serving others, to the professional and ethical obligations of the profession, entering the doctoring profession of physical therapy, and the privilege of serving patients and clients as servant leaders. Although doctors of medicine and numerous health professionals have long worn white coats in clinical practice, a formal white coat ceremony is a much more recent event. The first full-fledged white coat ceremony is often attributed to Dr. Arnold Gold, a teacher and pediatric neurologist, who in 1993 instituted the first white coat ceremony at Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons. Up to that point, medical students read the Hippocratic Oath at the point of graduation. Dr. Gold felt very strongly that the guidance and the dedication of the profession should be made at the beginning of the educational process, not at the end. He believed that the declaration of a commitment when students first accept the obligations of the profession is important to set the tone for the education. Other professions soon followed. White coat ceremonies are now held for a number of health professionals in the field. Just as the first white coat ceremony were conducted to help medical students reflect on the commitment to the expectations and guidance of the profession, our students today will take a pledge, verbally committing themselves in public to the expectations and responsibilities appropriate to the profession of physical therapy. We are pleased to share with you the comments and perceptions of a whole host of individuals here today to talk about the white coat ceremony and beginning clinical education components of their career and assuming the role of the doctor of physical therapy. I'll introduce our participants one at a time, and we'll progress through a whole series of people to kind of share the relevance of this day to them. It is now my honor and pleasure to invite Dr. Edward Halpern, the Chancellor and Chief Executive Officer of New York Medical College, to come on down and ask him to share some comments with us this afternoon.
Rabbi Fogel, Dean Amler, officers of the School of Health Science and Practice, members of the faculty in physical therapy, family, friends, and my dear young doctors. Not long ago, I was doing a live interview on television about federal health policy. The New York reporter decided as the denouement of the interview that he would ask me, what is the single most important thing to be done to improve our current healthcare system? It seemed to me that he expected that I would hold forth on attempts to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, talk somehow about single-party payers, Medicare for all, how to handle pre-existing conditions, or budget cuts in the National Institutes of Health. I, however, left the gentleman who talks for a living mute when I responded, the most important thing? To teach our students that it is more important to treat the word care as a verb, not a noun. He stumbled for a minute, tried to ask me precisely what that meant, and then salvaged the time by going to a commercial break. Now, irrespective of whether or not my interrogator understood my particular point, I believe that all physical therapists must understand that words matter. Words matter most of all when they are the expression of deeply held opinions. Hamlet advised us that words without thoughts never to heaven go. Likewise, ill-chosen words can do great harm. King Lear warned us, Mind your speech a little, lest you mar your fortunes. In my lifetime, a serious corruption of the English language applied to patient care, which is at risk to mar our fortunes, has been the transmutation of care from a verb into preferentially being used as a noun. Think about modern usages of the word care. Physical therapists are asked to deliver units of care within a care delivery system. This delivery system is managed by health care executives who have often done graduate study in health care. Evaluators will review the quality and cost of the care provided to the patients. What people in the system have provided is ranked as satisfactory or unsatisfactory under allegedly objective measures of care. Now, how ought we in the academic health university view this use of care as a noun? The university is, after all, a social mission-driven industry. The healthcare university is dedicated to the generation, conservation, and dissemination of knowledge about the causes, prevention, and treatment of human disease and disability. This dissemination of knowledge is primarily conducted through the education of the young, through the creation of new generations of physical therapists. It is part of a social contract. You citizens of the United States, you taxpayers, grant considerable freedom to the university in performing its mission in return for our commitment to serve the greater good. That's the deal, isn't it? If you look it up in the dictionary, there are many definitions of care. Care is a noun referring to an object or matter of care. Another definition, care referring to mental suffering or sorrow. Her face bore the marked years of care and woe. We don't use it that often anymore, but it's also a definition of care. When used as a verb, however, care is defined as to provide for, to look after, to be concerned for, or to have thoughts about. Therefore, I have risen this afternoon to make the argument that in physical therapy, care is fundamentally a verb, not a noun. We ought to teach this to our students and model it in our lives. We must care for our patients. We must care for our fellow humans and their well-being. We need to care about doing and saying the right thing. We need to care about our choices in words and deeds and actions. A sublime expression of this point of view was in a speech by Francis Peabody in 1927. He said, "Time, sympathy, and understanding must be lavishly dispensed, but the reward is to be found in that personal bond which forms the greatest satisfaction of the practice of healthcare. One of the essential qualities of the clinician is interest in humanity, for the secret of the care of the patient is caring for the patient." The secret of the care of the patient is caring for the patient. Many people have encountered this quote. It is emblazoned on walls and plaques. Very few people have actually read the article. I have. It is principally an article about how angry he is with hospitals. He says that the problem with modern medicine in 1927 is we take people out of their homes, put them in hospitals, put them in antiseptic rooms, take their clothes away, and they're in uniform-appearing gowns. And that, Peabody says, is bad, because if you don't make house calls, you do not understand people's employment, their family, their circumstances of their lives. You do not understand the personal context in which disease afflicts someone and tries to rob them of their essential humanity. He is recommending we not forget that. If we really care for someone, then we understand that health is far more than the absence of disease. You must strive to restore someone's fractured humanity in the context of the way in which they are living their lives. I was consulted by a gentleman whose chief medical complaint was that he was a classical concert pianist. and that he felt that the piano was always a half step out of tune when in fact it was in tune. A half step means that he thought it was a sharp or a flat when it was a natural. That's a half step in music, a fine gradation of hearing. What was wrong with him is he had a tumor of the 8th cranial nerve, an acoustic neuroma, which was impairing his hearing. To resect the tumor would have rendered him deaf in the ear, so he was being referred for radiation therapy. What that has to do with what we're talking about this afternoon is choosing therapy takes on a whole different meaning if someone makes their living by hearing fine points of music. To really care for that patient, you need to care about maximizing his chance of cure while preserving, to the extent possible, the finest nuances of his hearing. That's understanding disease in the context of what matters to the patient. And how are we to recommend this point of view to our current physical therapy students? Unfortunately, in my opinion, too many people in the academy think the goal can be achieved by getting out the pom-poms and cheering, "Be nice, be kind." Therefore, I am suggesting that a white coat ceremony is necessary, but certainly not sufficient. Learning how to care really means learning how to be fully engaged as a person. To live life fully and to engage in the really important questions such as, what is a meaningful life? How is a meaningful life to be lived? These mean becoming conversant with the liberal arts. It means being able to assess ideas and discuss them clearly in writing and in speaking. It means being a liberal artist. Robert Maynard Hutchings taught us that we are all liberal artists. To live life is to engage every day with the liberal arts. We cannot choose to be a liberal artist. We can only choose to be a good one or a bad one. I recommend that physical therapists be good ones. Medicine is the most scientific of the humanities and the most humanistic of the sciences. No physical therapist can help heal another unless he or she is in touch with their own fundamental humanity. And the best way to do that, young doctors, in your own education is through 4 steps. I have a list for you and for the faculty. First, defend the concept that a sound basis in the liberal arts is a prerequisite to the study of physical therapy. Second, the physical therapy curriculum must include as requirements, not electives, substantive coursework in the history of the discipline, ethics, the social sciences, and narrative description of disease and treatment. These ought to be freestanding courses with clinical correlations. They ought to address the physical therapist and society as a whole. No matter what the time demands are upon the physical therapy curriculum, we must not permit these subjects to be treated as marginalized or not real PT school. Any experienced physical therapist will tell you that these subjects of ethics and the humanities are as real as anatomy or kinesiology or physical chemistry. Third, we must support the concept of service learning as a component of your education. Serving the poor and marginalized populations in particular help reinforce the concept of care as a verb. Fourth, and most importantly, clinical educators, as you will soon become, must model the best and noblest forms of conduct regarding patients and not allow a hidden curriculum to suck the empathy out of inherently altruistic people. It would seem now passé to some to start quoting from Aerosmith. Aerosmith, the work of Sinclair Lewis, won him the Pulitzer Prize, and Sinclair Lewis was the first American author to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. And generations of people applying to physical therapy school and medical school would quote Aerosmith. Now everyone wants to quote "The Spirit Caught You When You Fell Down" or Paul Farmer or something else, but Aerosmith was good enough for about 50 years. How does it begin? The novel, Aerosmith. Cross-legged in the examining chair in Doc Vickerson's office, a boy was reading Gray's Anatomy. His name was Martin Arrowsmith. The doc rumbled as he waddled towards his desk chair. "What you doing there, young fella? What you doing? Reading old Gray?" "That's right. Medical library, just 3 books. Gray's Anatomy, the Bible, and Shakespeare." Those 3 books do not in the least seem passé to me. They are about the science of medicine and the humanity of fractured, injured people seeking your help. I think his advice to Martin Arrowsmith would be perfectly good advice to any physical therapy student. While your education will never be finished, it should always incorporate, with the active encouragement of your faculty, the liberal arts. You remember, young doctors, patients are perishable. We must ingrain the point of view that in physical therapy, while the word care can be used as a noun, it's primarily a verb. Thank you.
I just have to go on and off of this when I'm done speaking. Is it on now? It's on now. Thank you, Dr. Halpern, for some insightful and inspiring comments about seeking the true value of the spirit and the nature of what our patients need for their care. We're delighted to have with us today the Dean of the School of Health Sciences and Practice, Dr. Robert Amler. Dr. Amler, thank you for being here today, and I invite you up to share your perspectives on the event. I'll give this one to you.
Can everybody hear me? Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Dr. Halpern, for those very inspiring, very enlightening words for an audience that is really primed for this event, which is both sensational and solemn at the same time. Let's talk about sensational for a few minutes. Everyone here has earned their right to be here, whether you're a parent or whether you're a student, a loved one, a faculty member, an administrator. And let's put our hands together for the creative genius who founded this program in its current state, Dr. Michael Majak. Spectacular because this is a very key milestone, not the final step by any means, lots of tests ahead, I'm afraid, but a very important milestone as we all begin to assemble everything we've been taught so far and really put that together in ways to benefit the people that we will be treating in the future. Dr. Halpern is absolutely right. Care is often used as a noun, but we are here because we care. I know from talking to many of you when you first got here, many of you yourselves as well as your friends began your professional lives a short time ago because you had this sense you want to make a difference. In fact, as somebody who talks to a lot of prospective students, I hear this a lot. I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference. My own family says this to me. I want to make a difference, right? But when you have the skill set that you are putting together, the knowledge coming from your faculty, from your readings, from your practical service experiences, you are now acquiring the skills, the abilities that you actually can make a difference. How many people here feel that you've already been able to help somebody, maybe in a small way, with some of the things you've already learned? Let's just see. I see one shaking head, not yet. Okay, fair enough. Okay, any other hands, any other takers? I see a couple timid hands going up. You do begin to learn that you can begin to make a difference. Trust me, as all of us have gotten older, and now I'm talking to the parents in the group, I should say the fellow grandparents and parents in the group, you learn what an amazing effect competent, skillful, timely physical therapy can have on people who have been injured, who have suffered disability, who have suffered all sorts of medical problems that have led to loss of function, that they can begin to regain with the assistance and the direction of a qualified, competent, professional, doctorally trained physical therapist. I think I see a couple heads nodding in the back, but I'm not going to point them out. Suffice it to say that this transition from somebody who had good success in undergraduate work, someone who had a notion of getting out there to care for people, someone who saw the wisdom in coming here and learning from what I, as a somewhat outsider, believe is a fantastic program of instruction in service and caring, that you can bring that together and begin to assemble the abilities to take that forward and make meaningful change in the lives and futures and comfort of, in your career, thousands and thousands and thousands of future clients and patients who will come to you for help, who will come to you for consultation, who will come to you for assistance, and who will come to you to thank you for what you're able to do for them. You're going to be bombarded, I predict, with a whole lifetime of thank yous for the help that you've provided to people who need it. Well, the solemn part was bound to come, but let me not underestimate the sensational part, because every one of you, in my humble opinion, is truly sensational for the work you chose, for the way you've worked on it so far, and for the future that you're going to have as a result of being here, and for the pride you're instilling in your parents, loved ones, grandparents, friends, etc. Now for the solemn. Well, I'll tell you, I'm getting on a little bit. I first put this coat on some 45 years ago. I was counting it as I walked over. Now let me explain, not this particular coat. Okay. That would be a sorry sight indeed. But putting on this coat for the first time is something you really never forget, because it is symbolic of that transformation that is occurring in you. We all can think back to this horrid time that's called puberty, right? Nobody really wants to go back to that time. But that is a transition, right? You begin life as an infant, as a child. Remember, I'm a pediatrician, so I see this all the time. Trust me, every one of you went through that transition where you emerge as a young adult, someone who can stake out their own determination, their own future. And this is what you've chosen. When you put on this white coat, as I'm sure you've heard your teachers say, this is a transition in attitude as well as professionalism, because suddenly you're thinking in here, I'm really happy to be here because I love me and I'm proud of me and I'm proud of what I've done and I'm really excited about what I'm going to be able to do. When you put on this coat, it's I'm proud of what I can do for this one, for this one, for this one. This coat is not here for me. This coat is here to symbolize and express the fact that I'm here to help someone else, someone who really may need me very, very badly, or maybe somebody who's not sure and just needs some reassurance. So take pride every time you put on this coat. Some of you, depending on the setting where you practice, may not wear a white coat every time. You may appear in scrubs. You may appear in a suit or just regular street clothes. It doesn't matter, because this coat will always cloak you and will always be around you mentally, that you are the practitioner and people are coming to you for the skills and the knowledge and the expertise that you have. It is a very important trust and very, very valuable. I leave you with one final thought to pick up again on what Dr. Halpern said as we began this afternoon, and that is that care is a verb, not a noun. We use it as a noun, but the real meaning of care is what we do for other people. And please always remember this, that no one really cares how much we know until first they know how much we care. Please think about that. I hope you will always remember with pleasure your time with us here at New York Medical College. Parents and grandparents, family, friends, loved ones, thank you for being with here this afternoon. It's a privilege to be your dean. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean Amler. Very meaningful, particularly the point about the white coat being worn in the clinic. In some cases, clinics want to have a very connected relationship through the appearance and the clothing and the wear. So for some of you, this will be very symbolic. In some institutions, some hospitals, people wear the white coat. So again, the nature is that this is an obligation we're putting on today as opposed to a piece of clothing. So it's a very, very insightful comment about the nature of what we're doing here today. We're also very pleased to have Vice Dean Ben Watson here today. His background is in speech pathology, so another clinician's perspective about what they provided both clinically in that world, and now Vice Dean Watson is an administrative person here helping to educate other people.
Thank you, Dr. Major. Good afternoon. Welcome, family, friends, parents, students, faculty, administrators. Being the third speaker means I get to say, yeah, what they said, and then sit down. But you're not going to get off that easily. I will speak to some of the themes that Dr. Halpern and Dr. Amler raised because they are universals. And we are all clinicians of one breed or another. And so we all adhere to those universals. I will, however, be far less eloquent and far shorter. So take pleasure from that. But I speak from my perspective as someone who has spent a lifetime studying communication disorders, the physiology of speech production and the neural control of the speech and communication systems. To tell you to listen. You've heard that from the previous speakers as well. But again, from my perspective, that's what we do as speech pathologists. We actually listen more than we talk. We get our clients to do all the talking. You're going to be mostly interacting with your clients at a very physical level, as well you should. You are, by the way, physical therapists, not speech therapists. However, you will have plenty of opportunity to listen to them as they lie on their plinth or sit on their, or do whatever you have them do. I know I certainly talked to my physical therapist when I was lying on the plinth complaining about that hurt. Don't do that anymore. But you will hear their fears, their hopes, their dreams. You will hear things that they may not tell their physician because their physician is busy or preoccupied or it didn't occur to them or they were too nervous. But you've created a comfortable environment where they're relaxed. You give them a nice massage, what have you. It's less stressful in some ways. And so you will hear things that may impact on their recovery. Things that you may share with the partners on the medical team, the physicians, the speech pathologists, the other rehabilitation specialists. So listen actively, listen carefully, but also talk a little bit. Explain. You already know that you have to explain what you're going to do before you do it, so you don't take them too much by surprise. But they won't hear it the first time. They may not hear it the second time. The third time, there's a good chance that they'll understand what it is you're doing to them and why. So keep that in mind. As your job will be to cajole, to push, to encourage, to get them moving again, to get them functional again in the face of either neurologic impairment or physical injury, and it will be painful for them. But you know there's a goal for that. You know there's an endpoint for that. You know that you will help them restore function. Help them see that endpoint. Help them see where they will be. That will make them easier for them to get there and for you to guide them. Best of luck in all your clinical training and trials. It will be a learning experience, I know, but you will find it immensely rewarding. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you, Dr. Watson. Along with the perspectives of Dr. Halpern, Dr. Amler, and Dr. Watson, we are pleased each year to rotate an opportunity for a faculty person to share their perspectives. And this year, Dr. Gail Lavender has the honor of sharing some comments with you this afternoon.
Hey, can you hear me? Everybody, okay. Okay, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, faculty, family, friends, and the D.P.T class of 2021. As you have heard so far, the white coat ceremony, typically held between year 1 and year 2 of study, is in recognition of your transition from academic coursework to the first full-time clinical experience. You're winding down from your first year, and you'll have a week off, yay, as a time to really process and reflect and prepare for starting your clinicals, which are now spread across Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, kind of all over this time around. And so making it to this point in the program is worthy of celebration. As you look back to last summer and fall, you may have wondered if you were going to make it this far. I see a few nods in the audience, yes. And so you did. You've all come from different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, such as biology, exercise science, psychology, biology, and some of you have come also from work experiences. And so we come as a diverse group of students with one goal: to become a physical therapist. Each of you have made sacrifices to be here and commit to doing this. In a few weeks, you will transition from student to student physical therapist. It will be time to learn and practice clinical physical therapy, interact with patients, and understand what it means to be a clinician. To provide care, the best care, to others is a tremendous responsibility, not one that comes lightly and one that takes years to develop. The white coat ceremony is an important milestone in your professional development. Your practice skills are very important and should not be underestimated, but being an amazing, phenomenal physical therapist is not about knowing every answer, but knowing where to look and follow through. Here's the advice of a second-year student from another university. He said, I quote, "The most important thing in your toolbox is your patient's trust. This is neither earned or utilized with technical knowledge alone." All of you, as as Dean Amler and Vice Dean Watson have mentioned, you will be thanked hundreds and hundreds of times by your patients for what you have done with them and for them. It is my hope you will work with one or two or many where the outcome was more profound. Over the course of my clinical career, I can recall at least one, maybe two handfuls where I have made an impact. 2 stroke patients come to mind, a young woman with MS that I saw over a 3-year period on and off, another gentleman with MS, and a woodworker who was injured with a jigsaw or a skill saw with nerve damage, and rehabilitating him back so that he could get back to his career, to name a few. I've also, as a doctoral student, worked with hemiplegic physical therapy patients, children, where we hopefully made an impact on the return of function for their impaired limb. Currently, I do some clinical work in subacute, and occasionally I'm asked if I'm going to come back tomorrow. And I don't mention this to pat myself on the back, but rather to say I believe I'm giving them quality care that they deserve by actively listening to the patient, getting to know them a little bit, asking them what I can do for them, what I can do most for them today, focusing on function, and hopefully building moments of trust in our brief interaction. A physician and educator for 30 years who suffered from a stroke and had an interesting statement. I'm going to quote him also, following his rehabilitation. I can once again savor the joy of walking hand in hand with my wife of 40 years on a sunny day. I want to thank you and your colleagues for the gift of restoring my function. The gift is literally my life. Each of you has a gift, and the gift is to make a difference. Thank you.
You know, Gail's our mother nurturer. And she's a grand poobah of humanity and reflection. And you know, she says things that are so insightful and so close to the humanity, what we're trying to do here today. Thank you very much for those wonderful thoughts. I would do what I do for free. I would. I think we're all passionate about changing lives, you know, removing pain and restoring walking and bringing back families together. And so those comments about the thank yous, you know, we know those happen, but never forget how lucky we are for the career we choose. You know, we make a difference. So what happens when you leave? I forget when I left PT school. It's far too long ago, but fortunately, Dr. Lauren Perillo is here today. Dr. Perillo is a graduate of 2012 of our program. And you know, after 5, 6, 7 years, you go through those stages of higher levels of confusion, you kind of get things figured out, you start to get some big truths, some big things kind of settle in. So it's nice to have some years of transition that way. So we like to have someone speak every year who's gone through that transition in the clinical world. And so we're very pleased here to have Dr. Perillo with us today. Dr. Perillo is a senior physical therapist at NYU Langone Health in New York City. We've asked her to share some reflections as a graduate who's made the transition from the program to a beginning career and now moving into a more advanced career. She's a senior therapist there at Langone, and she's now supervising others as well as taking care of her patients and clients. Dr. Perillo. Continue. Continue.
Okay, I can put this down. All right. Thank you, Dr. Majak, and thank you all for having me here. I can't tell you how truly honored I am to be here today. When Dr. Majak asked me to come and speak to you about my transition out of PT school and into the working world, so many thoughts raced through my mind. It wasn't so long ago that I was here sitting in your shoes with those same nervous practical exam scaries. It's been almost 7 years since I stepped out of these classrooms and started my career at NYU. I remember how eager and excited as I was when I started, but also how scared I was as well. It's always intimidating to step out of your comfort zone, something you guys will all soon be doing. What I didn't know at the time was that I was ready, just as all of you are. So I'm going to tell you a little story. So here I am, my first week at NYU, and I'm getting ready for my first evaluation. I do my chart review, I'm working out all my nerves, full examination written out in front of me. On the inside, I'm as nervous as can be, and on the outside, I'm trying to play it cool. I go to get my patient. He was a young guy, not too much older than myself, who had suffered a traumatic brain injury. At that time, I did not have too much experience with the neurological population. We go through the examination, and when we come out, I'm feeling pretty good about all the information I gathered, and my nerves start to dissipate. I meet with my supervisor to go over the examination, and with one question, all of those nerves rushed right back. My supervisor asked me, and I'll never forget this, "What do you think about a brace?" I froze. I completely went blank. All of these images from Dr. Curtis's lecture came popping back into my head, and I could not remember a thing. In that moment, all I could think of was I don't know the answer. But even though I didn't know the answer, I knew how to find it. What I realized in that instance was how prepared I felt as a New York medical graduate. Through my years of school and clinical experiences, I learned the tools to be successful. I learned how to find the answers in the literature. I learned when and how to ask for help. I learned how to cultivate relationships. I learned how to have clinical conversations when my opinions differed. And most importantly, I learned how to accept feedback. I learned all the real-world skills that no textbook will show you. I really, truly believe if you can foster these skills, you will always succeed. All of us have come from different backgrounds, and we've all decided to go down this path for so many reasons. But in the end, it's what we can do for our patients, their families, to improve their quality of life that will continue to bring you, your peers, and mentors together. One of my all-time favorite phrases, and I say this to myself almost every single day, is service with a smile. I really feel strongly when we are in the clinic, we need to convey a caring attitude. As a clinical instructor, I've learned that you can teach someone about pathology, you can teach an intervention, but you can't teach someone to be professional and, more importantly, to care. So many of our patients will need you standing there with a smile and letting them know it's going to be okay. Many will share their life stories, their hobbies, or even their deepest concerns. And we need to listen, we need to smile, and we need to be empathetic. Some patients are vulnerable and they will be looking to you for compassion. To know that you can help ease someone's fears and guide them through their toughest challenges using the tools that you've learned here and will continue to learn along your journey, you'll then realize how worth it is. Be excited because you've chosen a great profession, one that's given me so much happiness and joy along the way. Make your journey both fun and rewarding because it will be. Even if you think you know what you want to do, always keep an open mind because this profession is full of surprises. I encourage you to ask questions and make the most of your clinical experiences. But my most important word of advice to you as you embark on this clinical journey would be to never give up. Never give up on learning, never give up on yourself, and most importantly, never give up on your patients. If you go into every experience with an eagerness and willingness to learn, you will never be disappointed. Good luck to the future class of 2021.
Thank you so much. Two microphones here, okay. Thank you, Dr. Prill, for those comments. You can see how proud we are. We know where you're going to go. We have graduates for many years, and we know where you're going to go. We're so excited about your future, and it's so pleased to be part of your evolution from student to physical therapist, and we thank you for letting us take that trip along the way with you. So I thank all our speakers for their thoughts and words, for helping set the tone and the atmosphere for the occasion today. I'm going to move into the actual process of the hooding of the students to explain how that is going to be going. As a component of the program, we have incoming students assigned to a professional development advisor. And so each of the faculty work with 6 to 7 students, and along with the education of physical skills, there's a feedback and monitoring of abilities that one needs to succeed, communication, problem solving, critical thinking. Our students actually reflect upon their professional behaviors every semester, and they self-assess themselves, share those comments with their classmates, gets feedback from the faculty. And it's our pleasure to work with our students not only on their academic skills, but on their professional nature and understanding the culture of physical therapy that they're entering. I'll now introduce to you the faculty. And as I do so, I ask the faculty to take their positions on the stage and face the audience. First, Dr. Catherine Curtis. Dr. Janet Delatte. Dr. Nikki Goronsky. Dr. Gail Lavender. Dr. Susan Ronan. Dr. Christina Wilson. I have the honor of announcing the names of the students as they come down to don their white coat. We'll be announcing the names of students in a group of 6 with the advisors. At the end, the smaller groups. We ask that you hold your applause until all the students who've come down in the group have received their white coats, and we'll then take applause together as a group. Will the first group of students rise and prepare to receive their white coats? I will call the names, and the student will then progress to their advisor. Carly Denegris? I have her phonetically, Denegris. Mina Belfort? Angelo Colagero? Noor Ali? That's smart. I say not hold your applause, but you can yell, right? So does yelling count as clapping? No, okay. Brennan Bolduc and Gregory Agrabantes. You can take your seats when they can. Christopher Farella, Ross Greenfield, Aaron Daly, Joseph Ayarochi, Kennedy Frawley, and Vishal Arora. Marissa Gargiulo, Austin Hanby, Anthony Del Giaco, Megan Mara, Melissa Guarin, and Kelly Garcia. Alexa Jimenez and family. Nicole Marsh, Jacqueline Milaran, Joshua Meissner, Stephen Huka, and Victoria Jelinek. Brian Leskowski, Amanda Oliver, Aaron Donahue, Michael Clay Noms, Alyssa Michalowski, and Daniel Mellon. Ahmed Shalabi, Mariah Tarabaccia, Patricia McAllister, Julia Nigro, Nizam Sungun, Akash Patel. We actually have a group of 3 and a group of 2, since the sizes of the groups are not always compatible across the board. So the first 3 individuals, Alexandra Straley, Kaylee Sullivan, and Sylvia Roman. And our last 2 recipients, Jesse Van Gore and Casey Rubenstein. And one more hand for all our students. Congratulations to all. As part of today's proceedings, our students attested their dedication to the ethical and professional physical therapy practice by reciting the pledge for physical therapy. You'll find that pledge on the back page of your program. Similar to our other faculty roles, the faculty think you can take a seat. Each year, one of our faculty stays up on stage to recite the pledge, and this year, Dr. Christina Welsom has the pleasure of leading our students through the pledge of physical therapy.
In 2004, the House of Delegates of the American Physical Therapy Association resolved to support the use of a professional oath or pledge for students in accredited physical therapist education programs and for licensed physical therapists. This pledge serves to enhance the commitment of the physical therapist professional to the patient, the client, and themselves, to the APTA Professional Vision 2020, to the Code of Ethics, the Guide for Professional Conduct, and Standards of Practice, which have set forth principles and guidelines for their professional behaviors, as well as the core values of the physical therapy profession of accountability, altruism, compassion and caring, excellence, integrity, professional duty, and social responsibility. At this time, I ask all of our physical therapy students to stand and recite this pledge. I also invite all physical therapists in attendance to stand and join them as you reaffirm your commitment to the profession. You may all refer to your book on the back page and repeat after me. As I enter the profession of physical therapy to practice as a physical therapist, oh, read it together. I will be trustworthy towards my patients and clients and in all other aspects of physical therapy practice. I will place the welfare of my patients and clients above my own self-interest. I will provide accurate and relevant information to patients and clients about their care and to the public about physical therapy services. I will exercise sound judgment and comply with laws and regulations that govern physical therapy and protect the public from unethical, incompetent, and illegal acts. I will maintain professional competence and promote high standards for physical therapy practice, education, and research. I will address the health needs of society and strive to effect changes that benefit patients, clients, and the community. I will respect the rights, knowledge, and skills of colleagues and other healthcare professionals and seek consultation whenever the welfare of the patient or client may be advanced. Thus, with this pledge, I freely accept the responsibilities that accompany the practice of physical therapy. That was better. I like it that way.
You can all take your seats again. It's my pleasure to bring the ceremony to a close. I'm sure that all will agree this has been a very moving and memorable experience, full of reflection and joy and contemplation of the privilege we have as health professions to touch people's lives. Before I conclude the program, I'd like to ask for applause again, once again, from members of the class of 2021. I said the class of 2021 and faculty acknowledge the families, friends, and loved ones, both here and those connected by live stream and in spirit, who support the class in so many ways. I'd also like to acknowledge Rabbi Fogel, Dr. Halpern, Amler, Dr. Watson, Dr. Perillo for their remarks, and Dr. Lavender for their remarks and their presence here today. And I have to acknowledge both Francesca Menta, who's helping to organize. With Francesca, she's out organizing the reception, and all the faculty. Dean Emma is very gracious to talk about, beginning the program, leading the program, but, without this faculty, the students know when you email 1 o'clock in the morning, you get a response from a faculty person, or on weekends, or, I think we really, it's not a vocation. This is an avocation. This is what drives us. And I think that I take joy in how we work so hard, I think, as a faculty, and it extends beyond, Dr. Sharman, neuroscience, and Dr. Moshman. We have public health faculty, Dr. Drugi. We have a whole school here which drives our success. And it's very special. We've been here a long time, the faculty. Many years we've been here. And that's a testament to the students we attract, the administration that supports us. And I've got to say, when people say my favorite part of the program, we get great students. They unchoose cheaper schools, they unchoose bigger name schools. I think they see the guts of what we're doing here. They get down this problem-based learning curriculum. They have to go home and find information to talk about in class. They're looking at 20 articles to find the 4 or 5 which make sense for them. It's a huge load. They do doctoral projects, community service projects. We're only as good as people we attract, and I'm just so happy and pleased, both with the faculty and our administration and our students. We're really doing great things here. And it starts with parents and friends and support. You know what it's like when you get a phone call, I have an exam coming up, or what do I do now? And so, we thank you for letting us borrow your relatives for 3 years. They come in like deer in the headlights. May I not blow it. And they graduate mature, reflective practitioners. You've heard Dr. Perillo speak. This is what we're doing in the world is changing the world around us. We're change agents. We're visionaries. And so I thank you for providing us with the families and the children, the adults to be with us. I thank the faculty for their hard work. And I just look forward to bigger and better things. So thank you for making it a special time for us here today. We're going to ask the students and the front row to come down for a team picture. Families and parents, if you want to exit carefully row by row to the back lobby area, we'll join you after we have our pictures taken. So we invite the families and friends to leave in order out the back, and students come on down here, we'll get some pictures and celebrate. Is this moving on? Sorry, is this move? Yeah, a little bit. There's wires under what's wired in.
Yeah, that's it. We can't have it. Right there. Faculty two. Faculty two. Come on in. Just work in.